Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 0 of my Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee Extreme Randomizer Nuzlocke. There's something strange going on in the Kanto region. Pokemon are showing up in all different places, spots that they normally don't appear in. Special Pokemon like Crystal Onyx are appearing. And my rival YouTube is running around with Team Rocket handing out demonetization and putting out terrible YouTube rewinds and must be stopped at all costs. My name is Mike from PokeTips and I invite you to join me on this adventure of epic proportions and help me become the hero that the Kanto region needs. I have been so excited to randomize Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and the time is finally here. For episode 0, I'm going to be speeding through the early part of the game while explaining the rules to you so we can start off episode 1 with a bang. By now, I'm sure you already know what a Nuzlocke is, since this is a very popular way to play your Pokemon game, but if you don't know, it's basically a challenge that you can impose on yourself to make your Pokemon game more difficult. You can only capture the first Pokemon you encounter on a route, and if you don't catch it, it's gone. You won't get any more Pokemon on that route. All battles will be fought on set, so if you want to switch your Pokemon, it's going to take a turn, and that could be the difference between life and death. And speaking of death, if your Pokemon faints, it's going to be considered dead and you won't be able to use it anymore. No amount of healing at Nurse Joy or using revives are going to do anything for you. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are really interesting games to Nuzlocke because of the way that wild encounters work in these games. So unlike your traditional Pokemon game, in Let's Go you can see all the wild Pokemon in the overworld. There's no random encounters by running into grass. The way that I'll be handling encounters in this run is basically the first Pokemon that I see on a route is my encounter. If multiple Pokemon spawn at the same time, well, I got lucky because then I could choose which one I want to capture. But if one Pokemon spawns, that's it, that's the one that I have to go for. In addition, Let's Go is also kind of weird because for Koga's gym, you actually need to have captured 50 different species of Pokemon. So because of that requirement, I'm going to be playing with an additional rule where I can catch as many wild Pokemon as I want, but the only Pokemon that I'll actually be able to use is the first one that I encounter on that route. Any additional Pokemon that I capture other than my encounter for the route, I'm going to transfer right away so I can't use it at all. I'm playing with that rule because A, it helps me get to that 50 Pokemon requirement for Koga, and B, it helps me level up my Pokemon. Since trainers in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee give a lot less EXP than they do normally, I'm going to need to get some additional EXP somewhere to level up my Pokemon, otherwise this run is going to be an instant lose. In addition to those catching rules, I'm going to have a few more. So first off, I'll be playing with Shiny Clause, so if I see a wild shiny Pokemon, I can catch it and use it. And second, I'll be playing with Dupes Clause. So if my first encounter for a route is something that I already have for my team, I won't have to catch that Pokemon and instead I could get a new encounter. I like this rule because it makes it so every party member I have is unique and they all get their own story. Now, let's talk about the randomization. So this game is going to be a randomized playthrough, meaning all the wild Pokemon that we battle, all the trainers that we battle are going to have totally random Pokemon, and we'll never know what's coming around the corner. First, let's talk about the wild Pokemon. So all wild Pokemon are fully randomized except static encounters. Static encounters I'm not really going to be doing anything with, and that includes the starter Eevee. So the starter Eevee is not going to be randomized, and I'm not going to be using it at all during the run. Basically, I'm going to consider my starter Pokemon whatever I find on Route 1. Now with trainers, we're bringing them up to the extreme. So starting things off, every single trainer, all of their Pokemon are going to have perfect IVs, and also all of their Pokemon's levels are going to be increased by 10%. Next, every single trainer in the game is going to have at least 2 Pokemon, with important trainers like your rival and gym leaders having 6 Pokemon on their teams. Nobody is going to follow any sort of theme, so Misty, the water-type gym leader, for all we know, she might have fire and grass-type Pokemon. Since I like to torture myself and make the battles even harder, for this run, I'm going to make sure that we're not using any candies, and there's going to be a 6-item limit, so I can only use 6 items per battle. Pokemon movesets are totally randomized, and every trainer is going to have a 5% chance of having a shiny Pokemon, so we can get a little extra bling bling in the game. And speaking of bling bling, if you guys are familiar with any of with my randomizers, you know I like to go the extra mile and add some extra stuff to it. So I will have some special Pokemon models inside of the game, like you could already see that my player character is Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town. But we also might see some cool Pokemon model swaps like Shadow Mewtwo or Crystal Onyx. Like usual, if you want to see me randomize my game files to make sure there's no funny business going on, I'll have that in the description below, and because of my editing style where I like to make everything interesting and cut out the boring stuff, I will also be uploading the raw video file for every episode on YouTube so you guys can watch that as well, but I guarantee you this randomizer is going to be 100% legit and I can't wait to get started with it. If you're as excited for this randomizer as I am, make sure you give the video a thumbs up, and I can't wait to see you in episode 1.